Welcome to the ℙ𝕆ℝ𝕋 Show, where we talk all things personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. I am Nate, your host. Thank you for joining me here today on the 22nd of October 2022. We have a portfolio review from eToro, which is where we do our investing for retirement and our kids' college and all of that. And so today we're going to take a look at the past week and what went on since the 17th of October. And what's happening in the coming week, the final full week of October, and a little bit into the first week of November, because we've got a couple of big weeks coming up in the stock market. This past week was a nice week. We saw some good gains starting off. We saw a bit of a pullback in the middle of the week, and then a solid, very strong finish on Friday. Friday alone, we saw a gain of 2.27%. And then giving us a finish for the week for our portfolio, going for this week, closing up 4.11%, which is a solid gain for our portfolio, and a strong, our strongest week since June of this year in the stock market. So it's a nice week to have as we get closer to the end of October and continue our journey through the earnings season for Q3. We did deposit some funds into our account this week. We deposited funds on Wednesday the 19th of October into our eToro portfolio, and these funds equaled just shy of 2% of our overall portfolio, and we invested them on Friday with a small portion going into VOO as usual, which is a Vanguard's ETF that tracks the S&P 500 in the US, and that is where we invest our kids' college fund. The remainder went into VUG, which is part of our market category on our portfolio. A market category is a category that covers a broader range of sectors and industries, usually within one holding. So VUG focuses on growth companies, but it'll be across multiple sectors. Holds about 400 companies at this stage. And we invested the remainder of our deposit on Friday into VUG, which is a long-term holding for us towards retirement. As we take a look back past the week, there's quite a few things that took place. The big thing that we're watching in this past week and in the week coming up is the earnings reports. And so this past week we had quite a few big earnings reports. We had Bank of America, United Airlines, American Airlines. We had Netflix and Tesla. We had Snap, if you use Snapchat. So it's quite a big week of reports from multiple different areas. You got your finances with Bank of America, your airlines. You got some of your tech with Tesla, and some of your social with Snap and stuff. Snap's always the first social media company that reports its earnings, and it kind of gives us an idea of what's coming ahead. And then tech with some of your streaming from Netflix and stuff. Here we had a mixed bag this week. Bank of America and United and American Airlines and Netflix beating numbers both on top and bottom, while Snap really struggled, which sent some of the social media stocks down. But these weren't the only earnings reports. These are just some of the big ones that took place this week. And so had a bit of a mixed bag as we went through the week. But overall, I feel good about the earnings report and what's happening there. As we came closer to the end of the week, Thursday, we got the announcement from the UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss, that she is resigning after 44 days in office. Personally, I don't think this will have much of an impact on the stock market. It will have an impact if this continues on, though. If we get another Prime Minister in the UK and they make statements and remarks about economy and the economy and different things like that, it will have an impact on the stock market. But this individual situation of Liz Truss resigning, I don't think will have actually any impact by itself. But if this continues on, we know the stock market doesn't like uncertainty, and so if it starts to feel uncertain about what's happening in the UK government, the forward-looking uncertainty, then there will be some issues. As we look forward, I want to look into the next 2 weeks Next week, we're keeping things pretty quiet. We're not going to deposit any funds or add any funds to our positions or anything like that. So I don't see any new position. There's not going to be any new positions open, and we're also I don't have any plans really to move anything around within our portfolio. But there is going to be another big week of earnings. Next week comes some of the heavy hitters, so to speak, for the stock market, especially from the tech sector. We've got Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, all reporting next week, and so it's going to be a big week of earnings with them reporting, as well as Meta from the social media sector. And so when you've got all of them in 1 week, it's a big week, and I think we'll probably see much of what we saw this past week, a bit of a mixed bag, because while they're all in the tech sector, then they're still very different companies, and they make their money differently. And so yeah, but it's going to be a big week with Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Meta all reporting next week. Now, as we continue on into the following week, we are going to deposit some funds, and you'll get more information on that as we get closer to it, probably in next week's podcast, a week from today. I will be depositing funds. That would be on the 2nd of November, and then we would be investing them on the 4th of November. The big thing that week is going to be the Fed meeting on the 1st and the 2nd of November. And we expect the Fed to raise rates again. 75 basis points is what's expected. This is for the US again, to the rates to be raised. And then on Friday, the 4th of November, we'll get the jobs and payroll number for October. That's going to be really important, another important number as we go through November, and then we'll get the CPI and PPI and retail sales and all those numbers, which will be key indicators for inflation for the month of October. And so they're the next 2 weeks, the big things that we'll be watching over the coming weeks. But thanks for joining me here today. If you do want to invest with me, you can invest with me on eToro. The link is in the description below. You can check out my portfolio there. You can copy me there. I want to say a thank you to those that are investing with me on eToro, and a thank you to those that are following me on there. If you have a question or a topic you'd like discussed, or a question answered on a podcast episode, then send me a message on Instagram at @𝕉𝕉𝐺ration, or you can connect with me on YouTube and leave a comment on there as well. And I'll let you know when that question or topic's been discussed. And you can also fill out the form on my website, ℏ𝕉𝕉𝐺ration.com. That's ℏ𝕉𝕉𝕃𝕍ation.com. Thanks for listening today. I hope you have a great weekend and relax. Take it a bit easy, and don't stress out too much about the stock market. Keep invested, stay focused for the long term, and we will see you in the next episode.